Hey, how you doing? This is Kitch, and you are watching me play Factorio. One of the things I've done a bit in this series that I typically don't do in a lot of my Factorio playthroughs is a lot of circuit stuff. And I'm not sure exactly why that is. I'm a software developer by trade, so I should be able to figure this stuff out. And it's one of those things that once I get into it, I'm like, yeah, I could totally get this. But I think for a lot of people, it's just a little bit out of their comfort zone. I think that's one reason I shy away from it. Also, I don't want to make myself look foolish as I'm posting videos to YouTube, and this is a very, very easy way to do that. But someone had actually requested a while ago that I do like a basic circuit video, and so I want to do that here. Since we're playing around in a creative world, it seems like a very good way to do it. And I mean, I've used some circuits in here. We've got counters. We've got counters, and we've got some counters. This is actually a little bit more complex. It's a rising, falling switch in order to detect the trains and count them. But and we've got the one where we're averaging stuff. We got where we're wiring chests together and counting them all up and doing their averages. We've done some combinator stuff. But I don't want to get anywhere near that complex. I want to no combinators in this. It's going to be just basically simple circuit designs that are practical, somewhat, that I do typically use. And we'll take a look at some of those just right after we roll the intro. I didn't really even understand the flat earth, round earth thing was really a thing. It just, you know, there's like the catapult trebuchet thing. The people that don't believe in Finland. I thought it was a tongue-in-cheek thing. Huh. More you know. All right, so let's start with the basics. In order to get a circuit network up and running, you'll need wire. And there are two types of wire in the game. There is green wire and red wire. And they're exactly the same. They just act independently of each other. They're for setting up different networks. Kind of like roboports, how you can break them up and have different robot networks. You can do the same with circuit networks, but they can be a little bit more tied in together. Basically, to use them, you grab one of your wires here. You connect something up to that can be connected to a circuit network, like a chest here, and that gives us a nice little trailing little wire going around. And we take that, connect it to something else with a click, and that guy is now part of the circuit network. That gives them a little bit of an extra menu over here that tells you what network they're a part of, as well as some options as to what you can do in the circuit network with that particular item. We're just looking at an iron chest right now. You only have one option, and that is to read the contents of it and send that out as a signal to the network. Now, what do I mean by a signal? Let's see. Do I have something? Yeah, I got like a red science pack. I put a red science pack in there. There's one of them. And it's reading those contents and sending that out as a signal to the network. So anything on this network, like this power pole, I can hover over, and I can see on the right-hand side, I got a signal of one red science pack. And if I put the other one in there, and maybe even a green one, I can see I now have the signal of two red science packs, as well as a green science pack. So that's basically what the signals go out. They're basically variables that are holding the values. Now these can add up, right? So if I take this chest and hook it up to the circuit network, and let's grab one of our science packs and put it in here. In the whole network, I have two science packs and two red science packs and one green science pack. Coincides to what we have going on here. Now, if I were to turn this into a red wire, that's going to behave as a separate network, even though they're both joining up on the same power pole. So I look over here, I have one science pack in the red network, which is basically just this chest, as well as one red and one green in the green network. So whenever I say signal, that's basically what I'm talking about. It's the items that go out on the line. And you can get kind of complicated with them, but for what we're going to be doing with simple circuits, I think if you grasp that concept of reading what a signal is and what we can do with it, I think that'll get us where we need to go. So one of the areas where I use circuits a lot, and I think it was probably one of the first places I ever used circuits, is in refining. And in a situation like this, where we're taking in heavy oil, and it's going down, feeding lubricant, we're getting a tank here of it, and that's going on to make things. In this case, express transport belt. And what I have here is a big giant tank of lubricant. I have 25K lubricant in here because these guys make a lot faster than these guys can use it. And it's just sitting around, which is fine. But I'm running low on petroleum right now, I'm imagining. That's typically where I stand. Or low on light oil because we're trying to make a rocket fuel. There's stuff going on over here. So I don't want this extra 20,000 lubricant just hanging out in this tank. I would rather not make it if we have an excess of it, right? So let's do something weird there. Let's just take that off just to drain that tank out and kind of take a look here and see where this tank stabilizes. It's like at 1.7, 1.8. Okay, that's reasonable. All right, so what we can do is hook this tank up to the network. Let's use a green wire. We're going to click on it, and I want to take it up here to this pump right there. So you can carry signals they can only go so far, right? We can't drag it all the way over there, but you can carry it across power lines. So if we take it across the power lines here, we can take it to that pump, and that has that pump hooked up to this guy, and the amount of lubricant is going out as a signal on the network. You can see 3.6K right now. All right, we're not pumping any stuff out here. So we can put a condition. Some of these items have conditions that say enable or disable this based on a logic condition. So we can read any signal that's currently on the green network. Currently we only have the lubricant count. So we can set up a signal that says, let's look at that lubricant signal. And if it's, we want to enable that if the amount of lubricant we have is less than, what do we say? Like, let's do like 1,500. That seems reasonable. So this guy is going to work now. He's pumping the oil because the signal we have is really, really low. It's not going to catch up now, is it? It's going to take it a while to fill that pipe back up, I assume. But he is going to go, and he is going to keep pumping until that lubricant signal gets back up to where it was before. And due to bad planning on my part, that is probably going to be a while. It was so stable earlier. What happened? Okay, let's cheat. Let's pull that down. Okay, lubricant's going to start filling up, and it's going to hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to go a little bit over because there's a little bit of a delay, but this pump is now stopped. It's disabled, and so it's no longer pumping that oil. This pipes are draining out. This stuff is draining out, and that's going to hang out there now and not make any more lubricant until this tank gets below 1.5, and then bam, it's going to start pumping again. So it's a very handy thing to just kind of try to control the amount of lubricant that we have in here. And it was stabilized earlier. I'm sure it'll stabilize again. We have to wait a little bit. Another thing we could do is right now this guy is constantly pumping out to, you know, this would be like cracking or something like that. We could carry this guy off as well and put logic on him and say only you're enabled if lubricant is greater than 1.5. Okay. So these are the opposite. This one's going to work only when it's less than. This one's only going to work when it's greater than. So when we have an excess, this guy is going to pump out. Right now it's going to avoid, but that would be like cracking, right? So it's a pretty simple circuit and fairly useful. All right, this guy's starting to catch back up now, and we're up to 1.5K now, 1.6. Had to wait a little bit. That's going to stop the pump. And this stuff's going to drain out. And now it's going to kick back on because it fell below. And there's actually some falling and trailing logic we can do on there, but I said I didn't want to do combinators. So fairly simple and also fairly useful. That's going to maximize the amount of oil we have going out to cracking. Now another nice one that I don't use very often, but I have in the past, and I probably need to. Whenever I do a Steam setup like this, and could it get any foggier, really? I always like to use the burner inserters. And if you have two of these, you actually need, if you have two sides of your power going, you actually need a red belt to keep that full and reasonable. The problem is that these burner inserters can't pull from a red belt if it's flowing too much. So you can find yourself in a situation, if you're running low on coal, if you're not keeping this red belt full, this can die. So one thing we can do is we can grab a programmable speaker. This is an item, and you may have wondered, why do we even have this thing? This is something we can send out. And there we go. Needs to be powered. And we can hook that programmable speaker up to this guy, up to the belt right here. And we don't want to enable or disable the belt. We want to read the belt contents. So that is going to give us a signal. Sometimes you can't see the signals going through. If you hook whatever it is up to a power pole, you can always read the signal on the power pole. So right now you can see it. It's coming in pretty quick. They're doing the counting there. It's like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. All right. And we want to not pulse that. We want to hold it so we get a constant signal. There we go. Right there. So it's reading 7, 8, 7, 8, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8. That signal is coming through. Now, what I want to happen is when this coal belt is running out, I want it to yell at me. So we can do that. We can say if the coal is, we could say equals 0, I want an alarm. Ah, there's a nice fat alarm. And we have the option to make it as loud as we want. Global playback means it can be heard anywhere. Otherwise, it's just heard locally. I think we'd want to do that. And we can set it up to show an alert, like one of the little alerts like this down there on the bottom. But yeah, that's gonna go. And whenever there's no coal on the line, it's gonna play that alarm. So let's just see what that sounds like. No matter where you are on the map, that's going to go off, and we're going to be like, oh no, we're out of coal. We're getting ready to lose power. And whenever we restore it, it goes back. So that's another kind of little useful thing. You can also set it to like a threshold. We could say if it's less than like 3, if it's starting to trickle out, then turn it off. And it's very handy. I've seen some folks do it where they set up the alarm way down here, which is okay. The problem is if you're out of coal down here, you're already done, right? At least with this particular setup. So if you set it up here, you at least get a little bit of an advanced warning, and you'll hear these little every now and then, just as the coal is getting a little bit low. If you hear it kind of and then go off, you know that you're starting to like stutter a little bit. So yeah, that's a pretty handy little setup. One of the things I like to do too, I do this in my mall, is to use circuit stuff for controlling items in chests. Right now we've got a little bit going on over here. So let's grab some of this belt. Actually, just let's grab all of it. Why not? Sounds good. And let's hook up a circuit from this inserter to this inserter. And you can see we can now control this inserter based off of the red signal. And the red signal we have right now, if we hook that up to a power pole, is the contents of that chest. And there's currently nothing in that chest. Were we to put something in that chest, we'd see we get the signal of the amount of transport belt that we have on there. Now, normally I see people limit their chests like this, and that's fine. The problem is if you have excessive stuff, like let's say we limited this to 2 stacks, and I have all this belt that I want to throw in there so it gets recycled into the system, I can't fast click it over there. It just, I gotta go, this, this, and back. Nobody likes to do that. That's boring. So if we limit this chest instead with a circuit condition, if I have less than let's say like 2 stacks of transport belt in there, I want you to grab this stuff out. Otherwise, go as you are. And now we have this belt in here. We don't have that limit anymore, so we can just dump all our excess stuff in there, and it's fine. And as soon as we get over that 200 limit, see we're at 4.6K right now, this guy disables, and he will no longer grab stuff from that chest anymore until we get below that limit again, and he'll start filling it up. Definitely the way that I like to set up limit chests here. So let's do the same for the red belt and say if red belt is less than, let's do like 400 stacks. Don't produce anything. And we can just pull and push that stuff freely and not have to worry about adjusting any of the circuit conditions. Super handy. And you can actually generic this a little bit. If I go, right now I'm specifying the exact same thing, but I can use one of these generic signals, like everything, which is basically just like a wildcard, right? Basically, if that gets below there, it'll start working. And it doesn't matter what is in this chest. So we can actually take and copy and paste that logic up here, and it'll work just the same for the yellow belt as it does for the red belt. So it's a pretty handy little like wildcard item you can set for your logic. Actually, I should have set it right there. I should have set it further. Okay, so now it's got the same limits, even though it's a different item in the chest. Super handy. And I think everything in my mall is set up that way. I just go through and set these limits right here on how many items I want in that particular chest for that particular thing. And all of my inserters are set on everything, or at least they should be. Theory. I think that's the way that works. One of the uses also you can do it is for managing robots in your circuit network. Back a long time ago, I showed a bot trap, and I think that used... oh no, I don't actually think I ever used the bot trap that had all the circuit conditions and stuff on it. But there's some other areas where this can be useful. Let's say... let's get some construction bots, right? Those are usually under logistics, is where those are kept. Yeah, let's grab like a bunch of them, like that. Pretty good. All right, so if we hook up, let's hook up a chest, inserter going in and inserter going out. Let's hook up this inserter to that robot port, and let's hook up this inserter to the robot port as well. If we click on the robot port, actually, you're not the one I want. I want to go into that void chest. Nope. I had it right. You go out, you go down. Yeah, that's what I want right there. Okay, so the roboports, we can read the logistic network contents and set that out on there, which is something that's useful. But we can also read information about the roboport. So the available logistic robots is going to go out on the network as a signal, X. The total logistic robots is going to go out as Y. So available are the ones that are just sitting idle. They're not doing anything. Total is actually all of them, right? Even the ones that are currently... even the ones that are currently working. Same thing with the construction bots. So we have this signal here, Z. Those are the available construction bots, basically the ones that aren't doing anything. So let's say the scenario I want to set up here is I want to add more construction robots to the network if we need them. So if we take that signal, Z, and set it equal to 0, actually, let's say Z... If you have less than 20 available robots in the network, I want you to be active. So if we put robots in here, You can see we now have 20 available robots in the network. We actually have 21. And that's exactly where we want to be. Let's override the stack size. Let's keep it at 1. Let's keep it at 2. And we can do the same thing for this that says if we have over 21, why did I get an odd number? Let's try that again. We'll set your stack size 2. That way we can keep it a nice even number. All right, so this one, if we have too many construction bots just sitting there idling, we can pull them out using this one. So if Z, the available that we have, is greater than 20, go ahead and pull them out. So that'll try to keep a constant 20 robots in the network. If it's less than 20, this guy's going to pull them out and pull them in. And if it's more than 20 available, this guy's going to pull them out. So let's do something like I don't know. Let's throw out a lot of belt. That's generally something that I like to do. Yeah, so let's blueprint that. Oh, you know what? We're in creative mode. We can't do anything. Let's see. Does shift click work? It totally doesn't. That is hysterical. That is absolutely hysterical. Okay, let's make it work though. Let's go with available logistics bots, and we'll do it that way. Logistics bots should work. All right, so I have a magic provider chest here. Let's get rid of this storage chest, and let's replace it with a just a regular requester chest. Yeah, you right there. And let's put it over there. Okay, and that signal was available. It's X logistics bots. So we want if X is less than 20, and if X is greater than 20, we want to add logistics bots. Okay, so we've got the same logistics bots in there. We want all these construction robots out. 19, 20. Okay, we've got logistics robots in there. Let's set some kind of ludicrous request here. Let's request, let's see, what stack's really tall? Copper or wire does. Let's get just like a ludicrous request for copper wire. Now see, we're getting less and less available robots, and they are going to just keep taking that stuff over there. We're just going to keep adding more and more logistic robots to the network. We're now up to 80. We need more to get this job done, so we're just going to keep pushing it. All right, it's kind of reached a little stable point right here. Let's go ahead and cancel that request. That's going to send all the logic bots back to the RoboPort after they get charged up. I still remembering those old requests. Wait, let's just remove it. Get back to the RoboPort. And as they're retired and they're not needed anymore, we're going to go ahead and just pull those out of the network until we get back down to our stable 20. Pretty neat. Pretty cool little way to go about doing it. It was used in my construction stations, and I think that was actually Cornosian's design. But it's for adding and removing construction bots from the network as they are no longer needed. And we got a little thing where off because we got an odd number in there for some reason. Oh well, we'll just stop it. Generally, we're not going to be feeding the same thing that we're sending to. But that's okay. There's some little fun things that I've seen. These are some inserters that are all connected up. And the thing about these inserters is all these inserters are only set to go if they are receiving a copper ore signal. And the copper ore signal is coming from this guy right here. He's reading the hand contents and he's sending that out on the line. So what that gives us is that when this one stops, they all stop. And when this one starts, they all start. So it keeps them synchronized. Sometimes your inserters can get off. and people can be concerned about that. So this is just a way to keep them always in sync. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And if you play around a little bit with that math, you can make them do little wavy patterns. This is just, I have it enabled to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. So this guy will grab, and when he grabs, that'll make the copper signal 1. Then this guy will be active as well, and then they both have it, and then it'll be 2, which grabs this guy. Then we have 3 of them, then it'll be 3, etc., etc., on down. And it makes a nice, cool little wavy pattern when it does that. It looks like it's they're at a rock concert. Fantastic. And also, simple things you can do are things with lights. If you've ever seen people with lit up stuff and you were wondering what that is about, that is something you can do right here. Now, I've got it set up very simple here. I wouldn't set up lights this way, but this is a very, very, very simple way to go about doing it. Basically, what I have here is all my lamps are enabled when iron plate equals 1. And I'm setting it to enable and disable when the iron plate equals 1. And they're all set up exactly the same. And I have separate networks down here that are connecting up to the different little readers on this belt right here. So you can see whenever I select this thing right here, it highlights this one right here. This one highlights this over here. This one highlights this one right here. And this one highlights this one over here. So they're not all the same network. They're all connected. And what I have is a reader here that's just reading and holding the contents. And I've got a little belt loop, just like that. So all these guys are going to turn on whenever it detects iron. So if I take a piece of iron, where did that piece of iron? There it is, right there. And I just drop it on this belt. As that iron on that belt goes around, it's read by these individual guys. And that signal goes out to these lights, and they turn on. So it goes around at the speed that goes around. You can increase that speed, of course, by just upgrading the belt. Makes the iron go about a little bit faster. Probably if we put the iron on the inside belt, that would make a little bit of a change as well. That's pretty cool. You can also, I was going to say you can change the color of the lights that way as well, but I think you need combinators to do that. So that's a little bit outside the scope of this, this particular go over of these items. One of the last things I'm thinking of here that I find kind of handy, I don't use this as much, but I probably should. And that is for station unloading. I've got a copper station right down here. And it's kind of a little safety thing. I've used it before, and I've had some situations where I've run into some problems with some station unloading, and this would probably be handy. But, okay, so let's hook up all of these inserters to the same network. These are all stack filter inserters. And one thing we can do with the filter inserters is we can set their filters based on a logic condition. So, doop, 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 doop. Copying and pasting that condition just by right shift clicking and left shift clicking on all these guys. So it moves that exact same setup all the way around. And we want to do the same up here. And, we're going to need a combinator for this. I'm sorry, but it's not going to be anything complicated. One of the combinators we have is a constant combinator. And basically what a constant combinator does is send a signal out on the line. It's nothing, no math, promise, no math here. Maybe a little bit of addition. But what we can do is use this constant combinator to send out a signal on this network of what these filter inserters need to grab. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and send you on your way. And let's send a signal of iron ore. Let's say this is an iron station, and I was setting up my train. I wasn't thinking, and I sent a copper train. That's what I have down here is copper, I think. Yes, up here. And it's going to come here. It's going to stop. And these guys aren't going to grab anything because all their filters were set to that. Now, we could go through and manually do that. We can go and set the filter on all those, and that's certainly a possibility. One of the nice things about this is I can just switch this output here, take it off, and let's switch it over to copper ore. And this guy will go ahead and grab it. So now we have a copper station. Now, what this would really be nice and useful for is if we wanted to, like, let's see, can I copy that a little bit better? If I wanted to get a station blueprint and put it down, like there, it comes in. I just set my combinator. What is... Oh, that's the creative chest. That goes down. Let's get some power. I set my constant combinator to whatever I want to pick up this station. Maybe it's fish. This is our fish station. And the combinator, we've set it up to whatever kind of unloading we're going to do, and we're ready to go. It's safe, and something I should be doing a lot more often. It's been a while since I've completely polluted a line. Well, actually, I think I did it in the last series. I think there was a little issue I had with copper. If I recall correctly. It wasn't involving trains, but something like this might have helped a little bit. Well, those are just some basics. I'm interested to hear if there are some basic circuits that are out there that I'm missing. These are by far the most useful that I could think of. Well, I say useful. How useful is this, really? How useful is this? But I like it. Well, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. And again, any ideas you have for simple circuits, not using combinators or anything like that, let me know below. And I will see you in the next episode, where we might expand on this a little bit and get into some combinator action and look into some of the setups that I've used in this scenario a little bit deeper. All right, thanks for watching.